Alrighty. Well, hello everyone. Hello. It is Sarumonin, and we are in the Gaming Reality Show today with our special guest Senpai and my co-host Pelham. My friends, introduce yourselves.
Well, I'm Senpai. I'm just a lovely, obsessive, compulsive gamer. Also, going to be doing a lot of work here later in the future. But I love you guys. You're beautiful.
Thanks, mate. Looking forward to you being on the show.
For sure. So this time around, Pelham isn't eating, and we have an enthusiastic guest who is actually the guy. If you guys have been in the last few shows, I guess he's the one who's always talking over everyone. So I don't discourage you to, not do that, Senpai, by the way, while you're here, but, whatever. So we're going to go right to it. Literally right to it. But before we begin, we'd like to... I don't know, should we really do this? God. Well, right before we begin, I want to thank everybody who's been supporting us. But we're going to be talking straight about, are factions important in MMOs? Let's get started. Senpai. You're the guest. You
factions. I have a love-hate relation for them. Like, I think factions are really good in MMOs sometimes because it forces a conflict from the get-go without, guilds getting pissy with each other or people whining and complaining. But the big downside that I really see to them is the overpopulation. Like with WoW or like Blade and Soul, people like flip-flopping factions over popularity in certain servers. It's kind of a mixed bag, in my opinion.
Yeah, what about you, Pelham? What do you think?
Yeah, it's a good thing and a bad thing. I think it depends. A lot of it depends on the game type itself. If there's going to be open world PvP, you should be able to faction kill another player straight away. You shouldn't have to be locked out until like level 40 or level 45, or play 3/4 of the game with your own faction before you even meet someone from the other faction. It seems wrong.
Right.
But if you don't have factions, you kind of need to have some sort of conflict in the game, because just having everyone touching each other in the corner because there's no real reason to war anyone, yeah, it's strange.
I don't know, but I think it's an outdated thing. It used to be cool, but I think it segregates the entire community, in my opinion, at least. I'm not entirely sure. I find that it does segregate the community in terms of if people want to play with their friends, they really can. Because I know in some games, like if you're a specific race faction locked into something else, you can't play with those people, and that's usually important, especially like if you're in a big guild or even a small guild, and you want to be an elf in the, I don't know, faction A, but someone else wants to be like a dwarf, and that's only available in faction B, and you were supposed to make a guild together, it kind of sucks. I think it's outdated, but I don't know.
Oh, it could be considered outdated, I guess, just because it has been something that's been around for a really, really long time. But it starts you off with that concept of already, I'm playing this class, this character, I war for this side. I don't really like the whole racial faction thing. I like it better when you like have the choice to pick your faction, as opposed to, well, I want to create this character. This is the character I like. This is the race I like. This is what I want to play. But because of that, I'm forced into said faction. That I'm not a fan of. But when it comes to the factions being chosen after the fact, I think that's really cool. And I think there's a lot of innovative things that can be done with that. But most games that I've seen, especially as of late, really don't do anything special with it or even warrant it to have any value, which is kind of depressing.
Yeah.
I think it depends on how it's implemented as well and how the factions are shown. Like if you get sort of shoehorned into thinking this one's clearly the good faction, this one's the bad, evil, edgy faction, that's also a really terrible thing. They should virtually be the same thing but with different ideals. You shouldn't just have a good, evil, you get to choose.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough because it's a thing, or it was. MMOs are really changing these days quite a bit, but before, you used to be faction locked, race locked, gender locked, and you wouldn't be able to do much. And like I said, I felt like it segregated a lot of the community from doing what they want to do. But it's cool because you have side A and side B warring, and it kind of creates that pre predefined, hey, we need to fight. This is a war between us. That's cool, but I think it's been done wrong in the last couple years. I don't know. Or maybe it's just like I said, maybe it's just a little outdated and we need to like redefine what, faction v faction really means.
I think they could also, when it comes to having two separate factions, lock that faction to that server, like the traditional days of World of Warcraft and PvP servers. If you roll Horde, you're stuck on the Horde and can't make an alliance character on that server. That works. I like that. I don't like the fact that you can play both sides. It breaks things. Immersion, loyalty.
Yeah.
Oh, especially like when it came to like the auction house and stuff like that for WoW too. Like a lot of people would play both Horde and Alliance to play with the numbers a little bit, which was just really silly in my opinion.
You also have like games such as I don't know. I guess the one that could come to mind is Blade and Soul, where you'd have faction A, but you'd also need to. Was achievements that kind of were locked where you need to be in faction A, but you also need to be in faction B, so you can kind of switch over, but kind of betray the people on the other faction in so doing. So I think they kind of tried to change that up a little bit because you were actually able to switch over factions. The only thing is that it still created a little bit of chaos, I think, but I don't know. I don't think I like it anymore. I don't like the whole faction system anymore. I like the freedom of choice, and I guess it's a choice to choose either faction, but I like the freedom where you don't have a faction, but you create your own factions. You, the players, are the factions, and you can fight amongst other people or whatever.
Well, I think when it comes to something like that, it depends, definitely, as Pelham was saying, it depends on the game and how it's implemented, especially if there's no factions, because then you're hoping for drama, because that's how stuff's going to get kicked off. It's really most of the time when there's no factions and big wars and PvP and world fights start happening, it's usually because of drama. Someone doesn't like this person, it spreads out of control. But then you also have, like, when I was playing Blade, so it got to a point where everyone was just a Care Bear, where they're like, oh, okay, so we're all wearing this faction suit today, and we're not going to PvP one another. We're just going to hold each other by the hands and walk through the friggin' park together, which is that really kills the immersion for the game. You're supposed to, fight for everything. It's just really, I think you need that dedicated, like, I don't like you, you don't like me. We're just going to fight from level 1 to end game and beyond.
And I think that happens quite a bit, though. Sorry, go ahead.
That happened a bit in Black Desert for me. Randomly, a guild would declare war on us, and then we'd spend the next 20 minutes trying to figure out why they declared war on us. And then, for some reason, the diplomacy people in the guild, they wanted to try and patch up. Oh, we're so sorry that this guy did this. I'm like, they just declared war on us. Let's go fuck them up. You shouldn't be trying to patch stuff up. There's definitely a Care Bear mentality in there.
Oh, as a lot of people know, like with me and the guilds that I've run, if you're red, you're dead. That's just how I like to play. I don't want to hold anyone's hand. I want to fight. I want to fight you in the starting level. I want to fight you in the middle of the town with guards wailing on my back. I'll fight you wherever. Yo, catch me outside, boy. How about that?
I just think it's a little. I think that's a different discussion though than factions. It's just PvP and the whole mentality of PvP rather than the faction system and like the separation between one general community subdivided into different ones in order to make the game richer, I guess, in content. But no, I don't think we were talking about the PvP section of it.
Well, see, when you look at the factions, that's where it comes from. The PvP, your two warring states. And in some games, I've actually had multiple factions where there's like 3 factions. That makes it really interesting. But the factions always come down to warring against each other. That's the whole concept behind it. I mean, it's a very old concept, and it's been around for a long time. It's very basic.
Yeah, it's a bit old, but it's it's different. I don't know. I think it's old. I just don't like it anymore. I don't know. I think there's upcoming games that don't even have factions anymore. Like I said, you have the guilds, and the guilds can create alliances and just kind of go ahead and fuck up everybody. You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of cool. But I just think the faction idealism is just kind of drawn out now because of so much copy and paste in the last recent years. That's just my, idea, I guess.
Yeah, I think it depends how factions are implemented as well. If you make it so that different factions can't speak between each other, like in the Horde and Alliance case, they just sort of couldn't talk to each other via text for the most part until you started figuring out what each letter actually represents.
Exactly.
That's a good thing, because then the conflict is there to just kill the other faction.
Mm-hmm.
Where when there's only the one faction, everyone can talk to each other. That's how your own conflict starts. When you have the separation of the factions, it works out a lot better.
Definitely.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that one.
Yeah, I do agree. Yeah, that's for sure. That's pretty mind-opening from you, Pelham. Very. All right, but we'll switch over to our next topic. But before we do, I was actually there to do this. A word from our sponsors. And we'll talk about our favorite subgenre in games, such as fantasy, medieval times, stuff. What's the other one? What's that other one? Got one with the robots and shit.
Steampunkiness.
Steampunk. Thank you. Jesus Christ, I almost forgot about that. Well, you started last time, Senpai. So, what's your favorite, Pelham?
I'd have to say high fantasy, magic, undead creatures, swords and boards slapping each other. It's a fun thing. Steampunk, if it's done right, it works. I don't like it when they try to influence steampunkiness into high fantasyness.
Yeah.
They should be two separate categories. Like if you have the dwarves or the gnomes or some kind of smart race making steampunky shit, it doesn't feel right. I'd rather it just be powered by magic. And then you've got like post-apocalyptic and sci-fi settings. They can work. It worked fairly well in Star Wars. It worked well because it was Star Wars, but I don't know. The Secret World did it very well. It was sort of set modernish, but had the weird, creepy horror effects to it.
Yeah, that's true.
I still prefer the high fantasy though.
I don't know. I enjoyed both of them. Steampunk, high fantasy. I think it really all depends on the way it's set up, as Pelham was saying. I mean, high fantasy's always been there. I mean, I was like obsessed with like Dragonlance growing up as a kid, so I've always been obsessed with dragons, knights, magic, things from the darkness. But then steampunk's kind of it's one of those little niche things that's really really cool, but it just never gets done to like
properly.
I just never get that nice hard rush to want to do that sometimes. So I just look at it and I go, looks all right, but it doesn't really pull or draw me in. And even some high fantasy games I look at, and I don't know. I've become really, really picky the older I've gotten with games. I used to just play like whatever game. I'm like, just go off the deep end.
Yeah, I do want to, before we continue, I did want to give a little shout out to Dungeon Crawler Network. They're chilling in the chat and give us a shout out, so you guys are awesome. Thanks for that interview last week. It was really awesome. But let's continue. Yeah, so I don't know. For me, Senpai, did you ever play the game? I think I mentioned this a couple times actually in a previous shows. What the fuck was it called? It was by Snail Games.
By Snail Games?
Oh
god. Yeah, probably.
No, Black Gold Online.
Oh, that you talking about the game where it's a MMO, but realistically it feels like a single player game because no one fucking plays it
Yes, that one.
except for the bots, except for like 500 bots and you. Like
Yes.
that's a whole server.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that game, I really enjoyed the fact that you had the high fantasy setting, but they also kind of like integrated the whole steampunk kind of era into it, and I kind of liked it because it was cool, and you also had the choice from going from your traditional, WASD tab target thing, or you can go a little bit more actiony, which I liked. I'm more of an action combat guy myself, but that's because I've been after Terra. I just kind of died, and that just kind of happened with me. I had to play action combat, but apart from that fact. Yeah, no, I like the fact that you can go on robots, and you had two factions that were like it was a more fantasy fighting this steampunk Western, I guess, world trying to take over the normal fantasy world. So I kind of really enjoy that. But I think in successful MMOs, the most the better genre would probably be high fantasy for sure.
Well, it just feels like those games get done more successfully as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we're just talking about genre, I mean, I would rather have steampunk in all honesty. But I also would have to not only like the genre, but the game itself, and that's kind of where it's a little harder to define.
Yeah, for sure. And there's some games coming out. There's this one that's an MMO. It's like a vampire MMO. And, I can't remember names today, dude. But essentially, you're a vampire or a werewolf or a ghost or some zombie or some other shit. You have like all these other different things, and they're going for a more gothic setting. And I don't think that has been done before. So I like that they're like trying to change themselves, but at the same time, I don't think it'll be that much of a success. Dogma Eternal Night, that's what it's called. Kind of looking for it because I'm more into that type of thing, that whole gothic type of thing. But yeah, like I said, I think high fantasy just has a better advantage for MMOs because that's just how it's always been, I think.
But it depends how it's implemented as well. As long as it's sort of strict to the high fantasy setting, it's usually good. When they start throwing in weird Eastern culture sometimes, it gets a bit weird because it attracts all the weird people that like katanas and trench coats and
hey, those are cool. I enjoyed the katana. The thing that I find weird is the lollies, and with the Eastern side, the lollies are a huge fucking thing, and it just gets so tiring now.
Hey now, I like my lollies.
No, it's I think it's just overdone. I like the high elves, and with, for example, like with Terra or Black Desert or Arcade, they had their own little set of kind of lolly characters. Not really, but I know Terra definitely did. But it just, I think it's people are so accustomed to it, and we talked about it on the first episode. So accustomed to the the Asian market coming to the Western market that now that Western developers and publishers are going ahead and creating new games for us, and there's no lollies or anything, people are like, shit, I'm not gonna play this game. For example, Ashes of Creation, and I'm totally calling out the person. I'm not gonna say their name, but you know who you are. I told this guy, I was like, look at Ashes of Creation, dude. I've been telling lots of guilds. I'm in connection with lots of guilds, and I told this guy, look at this. Tell your guild about this. Come on over. It looks great. You're gonna love it. His first question was, are there lollies? I'm like, no, but there's dwarves, and if you want to be a bearded dwarf woman, well, you do you, sir. And he's like, no, I'm not interested. I don't know. I like lollies. It's like, whoa, what, dude? So you're neglecting to even like give it a chance just because there's no lollies or any of these Eastern aesthetics. It's just kind of silly. I don't know. I just went off and around. Sorry.
You kind of did. I was just letting you do your thing.
It does implement a good thing. The races of the the fantasy settings. Do you stick with traditional human and the shitty elves, or do you go something a bit crazier and get the more brutish orcs, ogres, trolls, slightly more animal things like centaurs and even satyrs, or however the hell you say that fucking thing?
Centaurs?
No, satyrs, whatever.
Yeah.
that SATYR that everyone mispronounces, except for like that one kid that sits in the back of the class.
The satyrs.
Goat people.
Those people. The go people. Alright, go people. Alright, go on.
Yeah, it depends. If it's sort of, if you go the route of Star Wars and just have 6 different races that look exactly the same with a different shade of skin, you're not going to have a fun time. It's going to break the immersion. Where, yeah, you have the more, I guess, different shaped races at least. Like take WoW, for example. Even though the Forsaken were humans at one point, they're completely different in shape and design.
Oh, yeah.
Games need more of that. Just having the simple humanoid. I think it's about 12 different reasons why. Mostly probably to cut costs in designing armor and stuff because they don't want to mold it over something else.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you need variety.
Yeah.
You do need variety in the shapes, but me personally, I've always looked at it this way. By the middle of the game, I'm going to have a costume or a whole bunch of armor, and I'm not even going to see what the hell my person looks like.
You know, that's funny. Like, I have a specific way my character looks like every MMO. It's this guy, he's kind of skinny, he has these sad eyes, they're blue, he has white hair, and it's usually spiky, and he looks pretty cool. Now, it comes to a point where at first I'm like, yeah, woo! But eventually, I put on so much cosmetics and like a pumpkin head or a fucking costume that you can't even see me anymore, and I'm just satisfied with it. I'm like, fine, what? I don't even give a fuck how I look like underneath anymore because I look fantastic with this Doge mask. I don't know. Am I the only one?
I just remember
No.
your terrible screenshots from Revelations.
Yo, I had the greatest Revelation Online Doge mask screenshots. It was amazing, and I don't regret it.
Dude, you went a little too ham with the Doge masks, like Photoshops, okay? Like,
Oh, they were so good. But, yeah, no, I just think... I don't even know how we got into this, but... but yeah, definitely high fantasy. Obviously, we've been talking about it. I don't know, that's my favorite, at least. Now that we've kind of skipped past, you know, why every subgenre is a thing, what's your guys' like favorite that you would support over any other subgenre?
Definitely high fantasy, or just fantasy in general.
All right.
Swords and boards and magic are where it's at.
Okay.
I would like more of a crossbreed of like steampunk meets fantasy, that type of deal. Which I kind of get my fulfillment of that from like Secret World almost a little bit, if I can plug that.
Secret World is weird because it is fantasy, but it has more of a modern take, and it's a weird game altogether. I mean, I don't even know. But yeah, no, high fantasy definitely. I think we kind of just covered all that. It seems the chat actually agrees. You know, high fantasy is where it is. None of that for you bullshit. That's fucking stupid. All right, so here's a big thing, and I hope the chat will actually help with this one. What do you guys prefer, open world or instance? This goes for anything. This goes for dungeons, open world bosses, whatever the case, or even the game. Do you prefer an open world game or an instance game?
It depends on the setting of the game.
Okay.
If it's got extremely average linear progression, so they try and say it's open world, but you still have to do X and then Y and then Z. No.
Yeah.
And as for open world or instance dungeons, open world dungeons are pretty cool, especially when you have like 1,200 other nerds decide to jump you at a world boss.
Mm-hmm.
Fun. Or Wizardry Online, they were a bit interesting with those dungeons as well.
Yeah, for sure.
But with the instance content, it's really good. You know you're going to be in there with your 5 or 10 or 40 people.
Mm-hmm.
You virtually know what's going to happen because there'll be no outside interference. They both have advantages. They both have cons. It's, yeah.
All right.
Well,
What about you, Senpai?
I want open world everything. Just make me pretend that I'm just a little princess and I can go wherever I damn well please. Maybe that's because I'm also slightly sociopathic and want to kill everybody and sneak you in your own dungeon while you think everything's going to be okay. Or the fact that I watched way too much Dot Hack Sign when I was younger. I just prefer the flow of the game, the simplicity of it. Everything's already loaded in. I'm in the game. I can move wherever I want. I don't have to stare at 3 continents and a ship moving from left to right as I'm loading in. That stuff's always bothered me. Because then sitting there loading in or instancing into dungeons, it kind of kills the immersion for me. Because when I'm playing a video game, I want to get lost in that game. I want to forget the outside world even exists, that I have family, that I have friends, that I have kids. Just, I'm video game. Like, that's it. That's what I want.
Yeah, that's. I don't know. I think we've been doing so many instance MMOs these days. Sorry, they want to be able to talk to everybody and be around everybody and not be limited by a wall barrier or be limited by an invisible whatever the case, right? Or in Skyrim is one of the biggest examples I could probably mention, and I'm sure you guys could agree with me. Um being on a horse, and I know it's a meme, but like going on mountains and shit without any limits, just fucking going wherever the hell you want because you want to. Of course, the map is obviously limited, but there's not limited in going from point A to point B, and I think it just makes an MMO more refreshing. I don't know.
I mean, a lot of the times, though, I feel that most games kind of go for that open world and instance dungeon raids and stuff like that. And I think having a truly, truly complete open world experience would be really refreshing just because it's not really very often you get something like that. A lot of MMOs, like the problem that I have is I've played so many goddamn MMOs that they all look the same. They all feel the same, whether they're graphically different or not. It's always the same. I'm going to run around in this open world. I'm going to run around in this instance, and then I'm going to do this dungeon. And I'm going to get teleported in there, or I'm going to walk through some damn gate. And I just want that full open air experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely something we're missing. Now, I think we can all agree that games where they have a central hub are absolute shit. Looking at you, Vindictus. And to a lesser extent, Phantasy Star Online. That's a great game, by the way. But having to sit in the central hub and then take little instances everywhere, annoying as shit. If they made that open world, it'd be an even better game than it already is.
Yeah, and I mean, you have games that are coming out now, that are new and have from veterans that developing veterans that are, they know the mistakes of other games. So Dauntless, for example, is one of those. It's not an MMORPG to begin with. They never announced to be an MMORPG, but it's not an open world game either. You have a central hub and then you go and do dungeons with a group of people. I don't see the fun in that. There's also games coming out to the west, even to eastern. For example, Twilight Spirits, an MMORPG, but it's completely centralized in a hub. You meet up with your guild there, and then you go and do dungeons and so on and so forth. Phantasy Star Online, like you said, has done that. Vindictus has done that. I think even Warframe a little bit, So I don't know. I mean, I've never really liked the limitations of instance. I've always liked, going out in the open world, taking pictures of myself, taking pictures of everything else, and being like, oh shit, fuck. If I could be in virtual reality right now, I totally would look at myself and lie down in this weird sun and hope there's a camera looking at me like in Mario World. I don't know.
Yeah, but you're a strange person.
I am.
Oh no, that kind of turned me on a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, as long as open world is actually open world, it's great. It's one of the best things that could possibly happen. If they still try and push in that linear progression, where you can only, even though it's open world, you can technically go to the end. If you have to go and do quest A and quest B to get to point C, it's not really open world, even though they claim it is.
Yeah. And you know, I know like in Japan, I think it was actually Senpai was telling me about this. In Japan, you know, they're doing the Sword Art Online experience, like literally virtual reality, and you're in the game and you're in an MMORPG, but you got to move your body obviously, because it's not like the actual anime where like it's connected to your fucking nerve somehow, and somehow you're able to move everything with your mind. But you know, you got to move your body and all that stuff, which is cool for exercise. Hey, but I think that's kind of cool. You know, they're really trying to go further in that further steps. I'm curious how MMOs will take that new open world feeling in the future. Like right now, you know, we're pretty limited to what we see. And, you know, even the field of view is kind of bleh. You know, it's not compared to like real version or real field of view. So, I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Just virtual reality in an open world.
That really could be good. Being able to lie down in bed and not actually have to move would be the beautiful end game, but unfortunately we're a bit far away from that.
Yeah.
Also, I'd like to say Sword Art Online, best anime of all time. Fucking
I hope you die in a fire. Die in a fire.
Depends on the season too. Like season 1 was pretty good. Season 2, we don't talk about season 2. It never happened.
Man, the plot holes in that anime were bigger than the Grand Canyon. Okay.
It was still cool. It was still cool as an idea for the MMORPG players, like Log Horizon or Boom, for example. You know, it's cool that.
I mean, they had a great concept, but the plot hole.
Yeah, well, I mean, everything has a plot hole. You have a plot hole, you know, with your decisions to do some things in life. You weirdo, but. But you're. I don't know. Everything's I'm hoping open world becomes the standard for MMOs now. Not even MMOs. I hope for games in general. You know, can you imagine? I know you guys are fucking gonna hate me, but Call of Duty. Imagine Call of Duty but in an open world area, not in a limited area where it's instanced. Well, it's not really instanced. It's well,
provided that Call of Duty game was set in the olden times and not futuristic shit. I would love to stroll around the German front and.
That would be
that'd be really cool.
You're not a fan of Call of Halo, Pelham?
Like the World
War,
yeah, like the World War. That's what actually created, you know, we're getting into a whole different topic, but that's how, you know, Call of Duty really started. It was like the whole World War I, World War II situations, and yeah, that would be cool, dude. Like if it was an open world, you know, World War II, like I don't know, Americans versus Nazis, like it was before, but with other players, even like the zombies part. I don't know. I'm just getting fanboying. I don't know.
But see, that could also be like terrifying in the same sense too.
Like what, sir? He's no longer with us.
Oh, he died. Yeah, it could be terrifying, especially if you know,
that'd be cool
the wrong side actually wins, and you know, that could offend a few people.
Yeah, no, not like Battlefield. Someone said Battlefield in the chat, but no, Battlefield is limited. I'm talking about like a true. Okay. Let me paint the picture for you. Imagine the world is as big as Skyrim's world. We're just limiting it to that. Skyward's world. You can go anywhere, do anything, talk to anybody. But it's Call of Duty. You got guns, and there's different factions. We're talking about factions now. The Nazis. And you're fighting the Nazis, and you're Americans, because that's usually how fucking games work. I don't know. And you got to go ahead and shoot them and kill them. And it's kind of like Tom Clancy's. No, how do I think about it? Like all these games that are coming out now, like you see them in Steam a lot. It's like these shooter games, but they're like, you know, there's kind of an open world sort of, and you kind of have to kill everybody. But like that, you know, like huge. I would love to have that. I would fucking be like, shit, man. I'm gonna put on some PS4 virtual reality headset and I can go ham. In a world.
Grab your old Springfield rifle.
Yeah.
Oh man.
You turn around, you're like, in a world where only I have a sniper, you are the target, and I'm coming after you. And you just for 3 hours across the map.
See, I would just think of Tropic Thunder the whole time, and I was that's the idea that would be going through my head.
Yes, dude, that would be.
That would be beautiful. That would be absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
You and like 6 of your crazy retarded friends going through the Viet Cong jungle in 2017.
That would be amazing. But it's still, I wouldn't like 6 players. I would like it like, you know, there are obviously going to be limiting factors. Like, it wouldn't be like 30v30 or some bullshit. Or 100v100. Let's say 100v100. And yeah, you have like 100 of your buddies, and you're going. I don't know. I assume nobody here has 100 buddies they can go with. So 100 people that you're in a group with, and you're going to fight the other people, and you have no idea where they are because they're anywhere in the world, but you have to fucking hunt them down.
And then everyone chooses a sniper rifle and camps at the start.
Yeah, and you got quests and shit, dude. We just created an MMO. We gotta sell.
And then
this
you
for
level
Ubisoft.
up, you get skills and stuff. Oh no, not Ubisoft.
Yeah, someone else.
Dude, not Ubisoft, and definitely not EA, because there would be like season passes galore for everything.
It could be like Platoon. Could you imagine a cinematic ending where Sergeant Elias or Twinkle Toe 69 gets gunned down as he's running through the field to try and jump on the helicopter right at the end?
Yeah,
that could make a big thing.
People would love that, dude. They would even MMORPG players would even play that, because a lot of MMORPG players don't play FPSs, and vice versa. FPS players don't play MMOs a lot. That could literally be the connecting bridge, connecting them both, like a true MMO FPS.
Imagine if they took it back to like World War I times, where one person was given a gun, another person was given like 10 bullets, and with no gun. That could create some friendships right there, or some extreme conflict in the friendship.
Yeah, that could create something.
That's so they're chucking bullets at people. Yo, I'm gonna be in the friggin' jungle trying to make a slingshot for those bullets.
I would be that guy in Call of Duty, and I have been this guy. For many years, I was that guy. I can't do it anymore because I am old as fuck now. But with only a knife, going across the map, embarrassing the fuck out of you, just stabbing your throat, going to the next person doing it. And imagine doing that in an open world. That'd be even more embarrassing, and that'd be like an achievement. You gotta like go around and fucking. But anyways, I think we all agree open world is the best that we want to go with, and we want to see more.
However, the one thing I want to point back to the Call of Duty virtual reality simulator.
Yeah.
Teabagging would be terrifying.
That would be great for your thighs.
That would be so terrifying to be on the receiving end of it, though. You're sitting there, laying down, watching the kill cam, and just seeing nuts right to your face, bouncing.
I didn't think about that. Yeah. Well,
Don't forget the old microtransactions. The person teabagging is wearing Hello Kitty hot pants.
Oh, no. See,
of course, the Australian would bring out the hot pants.
You were saying it, and I could imagine like there's a split screen, and there's 2 people in that room, and the person doing the teabagging is right next to him. So I just to picture that, and it was beautiful. All right, so let's go to our next topic. Very big topic in today's news: Ashes of Creation.
I've heard of that game. I feel like
I think I've heard of this game. I've never really seen much. I've never seen concepts or logos. I hear there's a Kickstarter.
Successful Kickstarter, from what I heard.
Let's get into it. The Kickstarter, dude. Oh my god. Ashes of Creation, I'm pretty hyped about. Like, I don't hype games. Yes, I do. That's a fucking lie. I hype games a lot. I usually get hired.
You hype Revelations.
I do. Well, I got NDAs I can't talk about, but there's a lot of games that, I'm really good at hyping games and talking to, streamers and talking to content creators and trying to get those to talk to other content creators and getting those to talk to others and so on and so forth. Kind of like a pyramid scheme of talking to people. No money involved.
Whoa.
So no shade thrown at all the people that have been saying that for the last week. But anyways, yeah. And this is the first game I'm genuinely fucking excited for because, believe it or not, they care about their community. And I'm like, well, fuck. And we've talked about this a couple times, Pelham, but Senpai's here. And I hear he's a big supporter of the game. So,
I'm just a mild supporter.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're okay. They do all right. I can appreciate them a little bit.
Yeah, they're alright. But no, I'm pretty excited. I mean, I was a couple days ago. I was invited to this podcast just to talk about it, and I didn't really talk much because I didn't want to spill any beans, and at the same time, they had amazing chemistry, dude. It was like it's us three were talking, and somebody else just came in. You know, it'd be tough, but it was awesome. But I love that they're so fucking. They have their foot down. They're like, no pay to win. We care about our community, and if you fuck us, we're gonna fuck you, and not in a good way. And I love that. I mean, you don't see MMOs doing that anymore. You see them just for cash grabbiness and not giving a single fuck about games. They just, if I could tell you some shit, I would. But like, there's some games like that are out that you think, there's millions of dollars in the game, and in reality, the publisher doesn't give a fuck about the game. They got what they wanted. They got their founder packs. They got their money from the microtransactions, and they're done. They're not going to market the game. They're not going to do anything with it. So it's really cool that, this developer, even though they're new, as a team, they're taking that extra step for everybody.
Yeah, I also like the fact that firm stance that is no lollies, period.
Oh, dude. Oh, God. I remember.
See, I can understand the no lollies, but you got to give me at least one fur baby. You know what I'm saying? Gotta give me at least one little twinkle toes with a tail.
Like, I know when Steven said no lollies confirmed, 100% there's not going to be lollies. Oh, so many people were like, no! And I'm like, yes, for the love of God. But,
Yeah, less weird people.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've never genuinely had an issue with them, with lollies. I just find they're so just overdone. But it was just cool that Ashes of Creation, they're speaking to the community. The Discord is constantly lit up with something. They're always talking about something all the fucking time. So.
I can't follow that damn Discord. It's insane.
I have to. So no, it's really cool. And there's some people who a little too crazy, and some people who are genuinely like in love with the fucking idea and the concept. And with the Kickstarter, oh my god, dude, have you ever seen that? 750,000. Was it 750,000? Over 750,000 in 11 hours. 7 minutes and 20 seconds.
That's pretty weird that you have the exact time. But yeah, it's less than 12 hours and they had, $750,000 mil. Which shows that they're either doing something right or just the entire genre is just so stale. People are clinging to the last hope.
Yeah. I don't know. And I think this is, like you said, this is my last hope for games, for MMOs. Well, not games, but MMOs. I'm just kind of tired of this fucking same shit over and over and over and over and over and over again. So, like I said, I don't know, I'm pretty excited for it, but we all got to keep some kind of pessimism because we're just so stung from the past that we got to wait and see.
Yeah, I was sort of sitting closer to the back of the hype train, and then the Oceanic servers were confirmed. And
yeah, I saw you.
I kind of strapped the jetpack and flew to the front of the train, and now I'm tied by a rope to the front of the train, just full force hype train.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to stop it.
You'll still have that NA ping on Oceanic servers. You'll be okay.
Yeah, and it was cool because, I'll let you talk about this. I'll mention it, and you can talk about this. Games have not really had Oceanic servers from Western publishers.
That's right, and that's the thing. A lot of people, a lot of the publishers are like, oh, but the Oceanic community doesn't exist. It's not that we don't exist. It's the fact that we've been neglected so much that we're just not very loud anymore. We appear to have disappeared. And Australia is not a myth. I am real.
Dude, we should make that a t-shirt. That should be a t-shirt. Australia is not a myth. I am here.
# we exist. Yeah, no.
And that is a lot of problems, especially with all the Eastern MMOs, like the Asian MMOs. A lot of them will have servers in China, and everyone's like, oh, but you can just play on the Chinese servers. Now, with their great firewall, we actually get worse ping to China than we do to the US.
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude.
Even though it's technically a lot closer.
Yeah.
Yeah, having local servers, it means we'll be able to PvP for once, actual PvP. Rather than having a backseat and just focusing on the PvE side of things, because it's a bit more predictable when you got 300 ping. But yeah, local servers, it's going to be great. And I'm hyping this game, and we have a lot of people interested from our region.
Yeah, and they're really transparent about it. They're like, if any region is, really interested in this game, we're gonna offer it over there. So here's two regions that get fucked extremely in every MMO. There's the Oceanic servers, which is also tied in with the SEA servers most of the time. And then there's also the South American servers.
Oh god.
Now, I'm not against the South Americans and the Brazilians and all that. We're not gonna talk negatively about it, but I think it'd be great for them to have their own server they could constantly talk to and have a great community amongst each other. Because having like 97 different languages in one server is just like,
it's the Tower of
eyebrow-raising.
Babel, man.
It's the Tower of Babel, yeah.
It's the Tower of Babel. Oh, I remember when friggin' Terra went free to play. I was leading a 10-man and had like 4 different languages in that 10-man. I'm trying to explain this using Google Translate the whole time. That was not a fun experience.
Did you say
Like,
Terra?
Yeah, in
Dude,
Terra.
me too. Oh shit, I did that
Dude.
also.
You're like sitting there with like Google Translate on one monitor, just going, bah, 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 bah. Okay, I think that's what I'm trying to say here. Let me type that out. Okay, I have no idea what the hell you said. Let's see. How do you make the chong tong hong symbol? I don't know what that is. I'll figure this out. It was just terrible. And then it was literally like dealing with the Tower of Babel. Like everyone speaks different languages. We're trying to accomplish something, but we just can't communicate. And it was just like, oh dear God, rest in peace here.
Yeah, that was like a
God.
Age of Wushu was the same way. Because there was pretty much the one server everyone played on. It was a jumble of languages, and then it wasn't too bad because they had their own language system. So actually, all the characters were recognized. Currently playing a game called Asta. If you don't have certain language packs on your computer, it just comes up as hashes. That's really hard.
I think like what would be really cool is if like a MMO like integrated like Google Translate and would like auto attempt to translate what someone's saying and spit it back out. I know there's actually a couple of mobile games that actually have a feature kind of close to that. Like I think that'd actually be really, really like ingenious, realistically, because there are a lot of people. Even though there's going to be servers everywhere, for some unknown reason, a lot of people like to play in an A. And then that brings a lot of because hell, let's just be.
Is it
NA is a melting pot. It's freedom in walls,
culture.
baby. It's freedom in walls, baby.
Yeah. But just to correct something, there are. Someone said when you have a Discord that has more than 7,000 people, there's bound to be craziness in there. A few witnesses, a few banned. There's actually 10,343 members on the Ashes of Creation Discord that I just checked, like 5 minutes ago. So someone else could have came or left, but whatever. But yeah. I don't know. I'm genuinely excited. Like I've been talking about it for the last few weeks. It's just when you see communication, when you see transparency, when you see this referral system is kind of cool too, but it's when you're seeing that the developer is going ahead, it's not putting money in advertisement. Instead, it's putting their faith in the community itself, where members can go ahead and share the content. That's fantastic, because a lot of people don't know this, and I mentioned it briefly in the one podcast I was in. When you're a content creator or a live streamer or YouTuber and you're famous, and a lot of people don't know this, that company, the publisher or the developer, will talk to that live streamer and say, listen, we're going to give you an affiliate link. Have people sign up with this link. We're going to give you a percentage of how much money people buy founder packs off that, or how much if people put any money into their account, you're going to get a percentage of that. And this has happened in every MMO. A lot of people don't know this. So if you ever signed up with a link that you were like, oh, look, I love PewDiePie, I'm going to go into, I don't know, Barbie Adventure Online. So you do. And it has a special login screen. It looks all pretty. It's probably because it was set up for PewDiePie. And therefore, you any money that you are spending or any founder packs or whatever the case, a percentage is going to him. What initiative that Intrepid is taking is that instead of doing that to special cases, they're doing it for everyone. Every single person. So if you're a big YouTuber, if you're a small YouTuber, if you're just a content creator, if you just want to bring your community, your gaming community, or your guild, you have that chance where you can refer them, and anything they spend, you get a little percentage from the company. You know, it's not directly from the members, obviously, because that's just weird. You know, it's directly from the company, so it's cool. I don't know.
Oh, and on that referral system, you're welcome, by the way, Sarah.
Why is that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just a couple of nice little referrals.
Oh, okay.
Like one big fat one.
Oh, would you like to go further?
No, I'm good.
All right. But
I like where I'm at.
Yeah. Well, you know, when you go to the top, you can't go any further. So.
We can break down some walls. I tried. I couldn't go any further. They wouldn't let me.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's in the Kickstarter. Like I said, you know, it's mind blowing how, you know, 750K in 11 hours, 7 minutes 20 seconds. I know, exact number. 1 million, over a million in what, under 24 hours, on 36 hours, was it?
I think it was just over a day. I don't know
Yeah.
the numbers.
It was 30 hours or something like that.
Yeah, and then 1,250,000, and I don't know. And right now it's at 1 million. I'm gonna give you the exact number: 1,393,719. Now, this is a 30-day Kickstarter. This means you have 30 days to go ahead and pledge. There has been 4 days. Well, no. Okay, so it ends on June the 2nd, and there's 26 days to go. That means, what, 6 days have gone by? 5 days, 4 or 5 days have gone by? And they've raised over almost $1,400,000.
I think they should just leave the Kickstarter running for the whole year.
They would
See
make
what happens.
Yeah, dude.
Just see what happens. Just leave it running till December 31st. Just leave it, because realistically, if you look at it, Kickstarter for a lot of people, and especially for, you know, this game, Masters of Creation, it's not about getting the money. It's the advertisement that they're getting from it that's 10 times more valuable. Because then once you start that Kickstarter, especially with how fast, like, it wasn't rolling like super crazy fast. I mean, that was still pretty damn fast to hit that goal.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that people are going to start talking about it. So other people are going to start hearing about it, and then they're going to start talking. You know, it becomes a fucking Ponzi scheme on an epic proportion. So I look at it and I just want to be like, yo, Steven, just leave that open all the way till December 31st. Let that motherfucker roll.
Yeah.
And just see what happens. Because why the hell not?
And
I mean, you can look from top to bottom on that whole Kickstarter, and this is what I love the most about it. You can go from top to bottom on everything. Nothing gives you a damn advantage on it, realistically.
no.
Nothing. There's not a single thing that's going to give you a heads up. You're going to look sexy as hell. You're going to be a pretty little bitch, but it doesn't affect the actual gameplay itself, and that's beautiful.
Yeah, and you know, that's the trouble they were having originally. Is like, we don't want to be pay to win. We want to make sure everyone understands we're not pay to win. We're not going to do it. We need our Kickstarter to reflect this. We just hope. And I remember speaking to Steven, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, but he said he woke us up in the middle, and it was like 3 a.m, and he showed us the Kickstarter packages and stuff. It was like a few days in advance. And what he said is like, I just really hope that we can go and reach our goal simply by using cosmetics and dyes. And, you know, a little few advantages, but nothing that will change your outcome in the game, nothing that will make you better in the game, nothing that will advance you or progress or any of that. Nothing that will give you a, you know, quote unquote convenience with like potions or shit. Just literally cosmetics and dyes and I don't know, like a statue of yourself or whatever. Shit, dude. And he was worried about that. Look at him now. I mean, he's fucking 2 times the amount of money that he's wanted to put in, that's been put in the game. Or, I'm sorry, in the Kickstarter. You know, it started with 750 and now it's almost 1,400,000. It's fucking crazy, Jesus.
Yo, we need to give them some Star Citizen money.
Yeah, and I think it'll reach 2 million by It'll reach more than 2 million, that's for sure.
Yeah, we just need to hope, unlike Star Citizen, this actually comes out.
Well,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of concerns. A lot of people have lots of concerns um, with the game, and I hope we kind of clear that up a little bit. There's been some stupid rumors going around, some dumb negativity that shouldn't really go around. I've said this quite a few times, and I talk in the Ashes of Creation Discord a little too much. But what I say is, I understand why anybody is negative about this game. I really do. Trust me. We've been burned, we've been lied to, and we've been thrown around as rags for the last decade by publishers, by developers, by community management, everything. It's just been absolute garbage from a shit ton of fucking developers and publishers. I'm not gonna say all, but a majority. And we're just kind of like really fucking tired of it, right? So I understand where the negativity and the pessimism comes from, and the skepticism. But the way I've always said it, and I'll say it now, is keep an open mind. Hope. Hope that it does. This could be your last hope. And the way I live my life is hope for the best, expect the worst. Literally, that's my motto in life. I shit you not. So I don't know. I mean, if you want to look at the Kickstarter, it's on the chat. Cool. Look at it, and let me know what you think. I think it's pretty fair. And if you want to look into the background of the people, cool. But just don't make it a big fucking thing. You know what I mean? I don't know, Pelham. I don't know if you've seen that shit, but there are some people that really go crazy into it. But if you're not comfortable giving to this Kickstarter, don't back it up. Simple.
Yeah, it's definitely terrible, especially in the Discord. When the mods are usually asleep and there's only a couple that seem semi-active. The amount of pyramid scheming talk, it's terrible. People saying, "Oh, I'm not going to donate." I'm like, "Well, don't donate then."
Exactly.
If you're going to have to live off ramen and water for the next 6 months because you can't afford a $200 pledge, don't pledge $200.
Exactly.
But pledge what you can. Like, just because certain people pledged more than 5,000, not going to mention names. That's because they could. I can as well, but. Yeah, the people that can't afford it, don't do it. If you can, do it. There shouldn't be some sort of, if you don't donate this to get your lifetime sub, you're going to get ripped.
Exactly. And I mean, there's people on this channel that have donated, quite a bit, obscene amount, but there's also people in the entire community. There's there's over 100,000 registered members for Discord, for Ashes of Creation. God, that would be a fucking nightmare. For Ashes of Creation. And don't feel obligated that you have to. You really shouldn't feel like that. You have speculation, I understand. You have some doubts. All right. Don't buy into the Kickstarter, dude. Wait for the game. Wait for some more gameplay, more info. Wait to see more development, and until your curiosity is finally done being piqued and it's 100% satisfied, and your thirst for knowledge is sated, and then you can go ahead and whatever. So also, if you guys don't know, there's going to be an official store coming out after the Kickstarter, and there's going to be real life merchandise and some also fancy stuff coming out. So if you're excited, let us know.
Yeah, Calvin Klein sandals.
Calvin,
Everyone wants them.
Feeling there's gonna be sandals.
And
Lots of sandals.
People will be disappointed.
I should, yeah, I think there really will be. So let's move on from Ashes of Creation, which, like I said, if you guys are interested, go to ashesofcreation.com, look more into it, and find out for yourself.
And if you are interested, throw comments in the YouTube when it eventually happens, and we will actually do a full episode on just Ashes of Creation, in depth, what we know, and everything.
On our YouTube channel, yeah, definitely. Like in the comment section, definitely write what you guys want us to talk about, and we definitely will. We're pretty blunt about it. We're just trying not to be too rude. But we'll go to our last thing of the night: the worries of the people.
Well, people are always worried about everything.
The worries of the people for upcoming MMORPGs and games. So, you guys have started out, so I'll start. Or does anybody else want to start? Senpai, or...
No, go ahead.
Oh no, you can go ahead. Take the floor. It's all you, baby.
All right. Well, I mean, I kind of already talked about it with the Kickstarter for Ashes of Creation, for example. People are worried that it's this big fucking thing that it's not supposed to be. Definitely, really, you guys should really look into it. Now, there's also games coming out that people are worried is actually going to be pay to win. There's Crowfall coming out. There's Chronicles of Valyria, and so much more that if I listed, we would be over an hour. But and like an hour extra from this entire episode. But anyways, there's. I want you guys to know that if you guys have any doubts in any games, and I just said this not even 5 minutes ago, look into the game, get some research. And here's the thing with games, and this game with gamers, you guys are lazy as fuck, and that's the truth of it. And I understand. I am one myself. I too am lazy, and I understand. But look into the game, research it. Go into the Discord, go and look at the facts, the FAQs. Why I call it a fact, I don't know. Go into the FAQs and read there's some documents that have been written up by the community members. Dedicated community members that have got every single confirmed content with the actual source. Go there. And I'm not just talking about Ashes of Creation. I'm talking about anything. This happens a lot for games. Look into them. Have an open mind is what I'm asking. Because if you have a closed mind and you're gonna go through life like that, it's not gonna go very well. And in the end of it all, you're just gonna be burnt even more. Because you could be burnt out 100% in the game. Like Destiny 2 could come out and you're like, it's gonna be a shit game. But it comes out and it ends up being fantastic and you're like, well, fuck. Now you feel like a dick. Just look into it,
Well, Destiny 2 will only be good because it's actually released on PC as well.
And with an actual proper engine instead of the garbage they had last time.
Yeah. But on that same note, you have to be closed-minded about certain things. Like publishers. If you look at a publisher and go, oh, look, they're releasing a new game, you need to go in there with the same mentality that they're going to fuck you over.
Yeah.
I'm not going to point out MyCom, but MyCom, case in
My.con, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And same with Snail. They did terrible things in Age of Wushu. They did terrible things in a couple of other games. Chances are Dark and Light will go around the same path. I'm not going to say it will. I'm not going to say it won't. But there's a pretty big chance it will because publishers don't like to change from what works.
Yeah. And that's
not necessarily what works, but what works for them monetary-wise. And that's always the scary thing, especially since now we're getting into an era where there's more publishers than there are developers, because a developer will make a game and then send it out to like 4 or 5 different publishers, and it gets ruined in some different countries and it's safe in the other, and that's becoming a really crazy thing.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying is, if you want a motto in life, if you want any advice, take my motto in life. Hope for the best. Truly, hope for the fucking best out of life, out of games, out of anything, out of a relationship. We're not going to get into that, and expect the absolute worst in people, in a game, in anything in life. Expect it, but hope for the best. This way, you're surprised either way.
Well, I mean, hell, dealing with some of these games, it's almost like a relationship. You go through some hard times, some good times.
True.
You also got some messy breakups involved there too.
Yeah, and my hope for example, with Ashes of Creation, we just ended up talking about it. My hope for it is it ends up being the best MMORPG that's ever come out in the last, many years. And my hope for it is that it's going to be one of the greatest communities and a huge game that's super successful and comes out and just blows skyrocketing records. That's my hope for it. My hope for a lot of things, but my expectations for a lot is really low because of the shit. So I understand you guys.
Yeah, last 3 years have not been good.
Yeah, so I mean, you gotta understand, and people are talking about I'm not gonna bash the games, but like with Chronicles of Valyria and like Crowfall, they're also promising, not pay to win stuff. But you look at like look at their founder packs and shit, and they offer you 100% being a king and being a king, having a kingdom and having complete, power over the people with progression. I mean, that's just my expectations, I guess. But I don't know. I don't think you guys should blow off any MMORPGs just because you've had disappointments like Alvin String says. I understand that people have been burnt. I understand that publishers have fucked you. I understand that developers like fucked you up. But be patient, and you can only hope for the best in people and games.
And realistically, the biggest thing is actually really doing your homework. And some people do, but they kind of half-ass it. Like, they'll look into the game. Well, you also got to look into the developer and look into who's publishing the game. Because it could be a great developer, and you can look through and go, oh, man, they have an amazing track record. The game looks awesome, looks smooth. And then you don't look at, the developer and see what they normally do, how they react. Like one thing, you're looking at Bless that may or may not come out. I don't know. There's a lot of weird shit going on behind that. But they're going to get an NA release if they do get released through Area Games, which up until recently had a huge track record for, pay to win. They kind of got it away from that, but have they really? So it's one of those things where you want to be a little modest about. So you want to look at every facet of the game before you're like, oh, I'm going to drop like $500 on the Founders Pack. Oh, I'm going to drop 10 grand on a Kickstarter because that looks really cool. Well, before you do that, talk to some people. Look at the game. Yeah.
Very specific number there, Senpai.
Well, we deal in the world of specifics,
No, and I agree. People, they should be wary. I think this goes for anything in life. They should walk through life, with a keen eye. They should be looking at everything and wary of everything, and it's not going to happen. But they should, pay attention to everything and then make your final judgment rather than just going in, close mind, and be like, fuck this game! Like, what? Nobody wants to hear that, dude. Like, do your research and have some patience.
Oh, yeah, it actually happened to my community about 3 weeks ago now. We saw Asta online. It's a free MMO on Steam. It looks like Chinese vanilla WoW. In fact, it pretty much is Chinese vanilla WoW. We went in there thinking it's going to be a meme game. It was 8 gig to download. We all downloaded it. We just expected it to be a load of wank. Jumped in there. We actually had fun, and 3 weeks later, we're actually still playing it. And it's actually a game we're actually playing for a while now.
Yeah. So
even though it is a direct copy of Chinese WoW.
Yeah.
It's got some things that...
Yeah, it's just one of those cases where, people have to... Judging before you know.
Well, I think a lot of people nowadays are just, like, obsessed. Like, one of the problems I have is a lot of people are over-obsessed with graphics in games. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm an old school gamer now. I'm an ancient dad type now. I don't give a crap. I just want a game that's fun to play, has some story to it maybe, or just some good concepts.
Yeah.
And so I think because of that, a lot of games get looked over because they look really vanilla. They look really bland. But there's a lot of fun to be had in some of those games.
Yeah, for sure.
Heck, when a couple of the games that me and you have been playing lately, they look like total crap. Then you get in there and you're like, holy crap, this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, there have been, and we've been reviewing a lot of games, and a lot of games come to me or come to even Senpai or my community, and we review the games, and if we don't like the games, we don't review them. I know, but
Crash Wars.
It's no, Crash had a huge update, by the way, but it's
We
it's one of the
that.
We're going into the games because they're indie. It's all these games seem to be indie developers, and we're going in and we're like, god, it's not gonna be optimized. It's gonna be fucking shit. We played Deceit. What happened? Oh my god, it was super optimized, super fun. Holy shit! I'm fucking 10 hours later. I'm super pissed off because everyone's lying to me and I'm breaking friendships. Yeah, I mean, it's you can be surprised if you keep your mind a little open. That's all I'm saying. But with that note, I'm going to be the closing note. I don't know if anybody wants to have any shout outs or, talk about your anything, your guilds, communities. Senpai, I know you got stuff.
You got stuffs. Got lots of stuffs.
Yeah.
A little bit. The stuffs here and there. However, if you are going to be playing Ashes of Creation in the North American, EU, Mexico, Latin America, South African or Australian, Japan, Southeast Asia, or even Korean servers, Eterna Gaming will be hiring for you. We would love to lick on your pretty cheeks.
All right.
So that's it.
Wow. Geez.
Let me know.
Except for the Australia part there, that's my department. That was a complete lie.
You want to talk?
But does your Australian department have tacos? We got tacos.
If you are from
We
the
have
world,
kebabs.
Eterna Gaming. Yeah. All right. And all right. We can't talk about one thing without talking about Argent Gaming, which is Pelham's wonderful little lovebird.
Oceanic community. Yeah, come join us. We're fun. We played multiple games.
Yeah.
Currently Asta. And still Revelations.
Mm-hmm. And I do stuff. So if you're interested in Ashes of Creation, go to the Ashes of Creation Discord by going to discord.gg/Ashes of Creation. We're going to be having this show every Saturday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. I have totally forgot what time it is in Australia time.
It's 11 a.m. Sunday.
11 a.m. Sunday.
Australian Eastern Time.
Yeah, so so if you guys are interested, check us out every Saturday, and if you enjoyed the show, follow us on Twitter Twitch. We're not on Twitter. What? And YouTube. All right, guys, it was fun, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.